32, almost 33 years. It's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do like before.
We're back here at the World Center of Racing for the OMT One More Time Duels. I'm ready to go. Racing Revolution is ready to go, and we're going to set the grid for the Daytona Week 1. Welcome in. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper. Alongside me all season long, we have Alex Gagnon up in the booth with us. Alex, I tell you what, Chapman Cup Series has been phenomenal thus far. A lot of back and forth, and we're going to have 18 cars on this first heat. 2 heats here tonight. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we had an absolute blast when we were here last week for the Clash. Grant Turner stole that one at the line, and it was a ton of fun to watch these guys go to work in the Clash, and I think the duels tonight is going to be something special as well. Super Speedway racing is always the best kind of way to kick off the year, especially at Daytona.
And this, of course, is at Daytona, February 22nd, 1959, when this track opened, and it's 31 degrees of banking, sets up a full throttle, high-speed chase for the lead all race long. And these next-gen cars are notorious for getting big runs in and out of the exits and the entries of these corners down the straightaways. The high line is where you want to be. Race analysis up on your screen. 30 laps for 2 heats here tonight. 55 mile per hour pit road speed limit with 2 tire sets available in the pits. This sets the qualifying grid for Daytona in week 1. 1 fast repair is available tonight. Hopefully drivers won't have to use that. But with that, let's take you trackside and get that grid up on your screen. Starting on the pole here tonight, you got Travis Gilbert. He'll be on the top spot. It's actually invert on the field a little bit here. Looks like based off gridding, Heat 1. Let's go with this. Morgan Cook is going to start. Let's go on the results page. I know this is going to be a little bit off, but ATVO does not like grids, so with the heat racing, it kind of breaks things. There we go. That's the proper running order all the way down to Joe Joya in the 10th position. You've got Kyle Diaz, Rob Rader for row number 2, Dylan Picklesheimer, Grant Turner, and then Kyle Stewart, Dakota Floyd, Trevor Keith, and Joe Joya round out your top 10.
Rest of this heat field on the screen now. Michael Call, Tyler Harrison makes up row number 6. Brandon Richardson and Jackson McGeorge rolls off 13-14. Jacob Sirkovich and Michael Bennett 15th and 16th. And the rest of our grid here tonight for the first of 2 duels. Caleb Gilbert, who finished runner-up last week at the Clash, and Christopher Schaefer.
There you have it as we go trackside now. Travis Gilbert going to be the top car for 30 laps. And this is going to be for the inside row at Daytona in the main race, the points race. Qualifying a little different format here this week. So I got to ask you here. Sorry about that, but I got to ask you here. Who's your favorite here in heat number 1?
I mean, it's tough. We've seen the 22 of Travis Gilbert have so much speed week in, week out last season. He was so fast, especially in the back half of the year. Obviously, you know, guys like Rob Rader in this mix as well, who's just unbelievably quick. That being said, though, I think we might see a little bit of repeat magic here tonight. Grant Turner stole the Clash in dramatic fashion last week, and lining up third on the outside there, I think he is in prime position to play the spoiler again here tonight and maybe steal another one.
Have to wait and see. I like V-Speed's odds there with Morgan Cook. He definitely sounded confident here coming into tonight. But here we go for heat number 1 of the duels. OMT, one more time. Green flag is out. We're underway. Racing Revolution in the Chapman Cup. By lead lap number 1, it will be Travis Gilbert in the number 22. Well, Diaz worked his way up a spot to get up to second position. Dylan Picklesheimer up 2, up 5 here for Trevor Keith in the 15.
Yeah, that inside line really got sorted early. The outside line splintered almost immediately. And you can see the lack of momentum they have right now. And you see Kyle Stork getting shuffled around by Cook there, as well as Rob Rader. And this whole outside line, due to the lack of drafting help, the lack of connectivity between the cars in this line, they're just falling further and further back. 51 of Cook lined up on the front row, and after 2 laps, he's barely hanging inside the top 10.
The 4-time champion just ahead of these drivers. It's Rob Rader in the 53. Giving a push to Morgan Cook, but the outside still hasn't got it going. 51 trying to get up to speed, and you can see they're losing ground for every lap. He needs to come down a little bit. He will actually drop all the way down in front of the high noon of McGeorge. Probably not what Rob wanted to see. Thought maybe we were going to see that outside get going. Already single file on the bottom. That's unusual. I thought for sure everyone would go up towards that wall and try to work the outside.
Yeah, especially in these next-gen cars, you've been able historically to keep two-line traffic going with no real sort of issues. It's been the one real highlight of the Super Speedway package in these next gens, but not to be so far in the opening couple laps here in the duels. Everyone fighting to get down to that apron, getting down to the yellow line, and they're going to try and run it out and just set themselves up for the longer run here. Diaz just shoving the 22 of Gilbert down the back straightaway. They've opened up about a half a car length advantage over Picklesheimer, but with everyone in single file, it'll be really hard to mount any sort of challenge on the car in front of you unless you get someone to go with you.
Now the bump draft through the tri-oval and across the stripe for lap number 5, and that's 4 now led for Travis Gilbert and the number 22. Kyle Diaz holding on to that bumper. Dylan Picklesheimer the top 3. Go back here to Michael Call, who's up 6 positions. Big gain here from Michael Call.
Yeah, there are a couple of cars right there, him as well as the couple cars behind him, Richardson and Sirkovich and Caleb Gilbert, all up big-time amounts of positions as they all funnel to the bottom early and are just following cars up on through. So you see those couple of cars in that mid-pack right now up big positions. Call up from 11th to 5th, Richardson 13th to 6th, Sirkovich 15th to 7th. It has worked out great for the cars that started this race on the inside line and for those who started on the outside. I mean, forget about it. Morgan Cook, Rob Rader, the top 2 cars in that outside line have fallen outside the top 10. And Grant Turner, who was 6th at the start of this race, has fallen to the last car in this clash field, or in the dual field.
You have Morgan Cook on board, working behind Tyler Harrison. This is in the 11th position after starting on that second row, or on the top row in the second spot. Shout out there to Doug. I was told to do that here in the chat. Getting a look here at Morgan Cook. Morgan Cook's grandfather tuning in tonight for the broadcast to get a look on board with the full motion rig. Morgan Cook spares no expense. Got a lot going on back here, though.
Yeah, there's a lot to keep an eye on at the moment. And, you know, we're starting to see a couple of cars maybe think about trying to make something happen. McGeorge, Bennett, Rader, all starting to take a peek. One decides to jump out that time around, but the runs are starting to get a little more drastic. And, you know, and if you're in the case here of Rob Rader, you got to really dial in right now and make sure you don't lose the car in front of you. Because McGeorge pulled away there for a second, and this entire back half of the field is about to be in a world of hurt. But now going to use that momentum. Rader going to look to the outside here, and he's got a little bit of help there with Bennett. Unfortunately, that's about the only car who went with him, so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to maintain it.
Yeah, and Gilbert was not connected to that back bumper. He's actually trying to cut down in front of the 10, and Kyle Stewart doesn't work. Stewart takes that position away. This is back in the 14th, 15th position. Rader steps out, ends up losing more spots than he gains, and now falls in line in 16th.
It is just a nightmare to try and make a pass right now, and that outside line has not had enough cars get connected to really mount any kind of a charge. And, you know, obviously it's still pretty early, but this is a short race. You can't really afford to give away a ton of time before you're simply going to be out of time. So when does someone decide to try and get cars bunched up, particularly from the back of the field? I got to imagine Rader's going to be one of the first ones to try it. Now, especially back in 16th or so, really nothing to lose. Going to try and pull some of those cars from the back, but up front right now, everyone is hugging that double yellow and getting settled in for the next couple laps here.
Jacob Sirkovich in front of Caleb Gilbert. This is 7th position. Not used to seeing the single file this early, but you go off of the Clash, we're kind of spoiled with the action. Whereas this is more of a qualifier. This sets your grid for Daytona. These guys probably don't want to afford, you know, too many spots. You got Rob Rader, who is stepping out again here in the background. One of the very few cars and outside the top 10 it's really shocking to me. Now a flip-flop as the high noon 98 steps out, and McGeorge is probably not going to get anything going. These guys tried that just a minute ago when the 14 tried to step out. Maybe this time with 3 cars it works better.
Yeah, I almost wonder if Grant Turner tries to join him. He's having some serious connectivity issues, though, which is the other part of the reason why he might be going back in the field right now. They're starting to make a little bit of headway. McGeorge has gotten back alongside Kyle Stewart here. That's the battle for the 12th position. And those cars now have kind of solidified themselves in that back group. Curious. Oh, looks like a couple of cars up front going to start stepping out as well. A few cars up. I believe that might be Sirkovich. And now there's going to be 5 up to the outside. Schaefer went with him. Oh, sorry, that was Caleb Gilbert in the 54 who took the step out with the 23 of Schaefer. And so now they're going to try to make a move here on Sirkovich. You got a couple more cars in the back stepping out. We're starting to get a little more 2-wide action here, Bradley.
Yeah, I think now we're getting to that halfway point. That's when you got to start ramping up the intensity. But it looks like the 54 not having it decides against that. He might regret that here in a couple laps when the 23 gets connected. High noon 98 up on the bumper now. Here we go. To the outside. Still not enough momentum just yet. It takes about 2 or 3 laps here for these cars to get up to full speed. Pinch down through the tri-oval. Lap 12 underway.
Well, a couple of laps from the halfway point of this duel. It's a very, very short event, only about 70-some miles. So you can't be stuck back here for too long if you want to make something happen. I think that's what the outside row is decided on right now. They've got 4 cars deep. and they are battling right now as high as 9th, but up front, I mean, it has just been unrelenting there from Travis Gilbert. He hasn't had the blink. He's just been keeping an eye on Kyle Diaz back there. Diaz and Picklesheimer really haven't stepped out of line since they got settled in 2 and 3. Although if that outside lane gets any bigger and any closer, wonder if someone in the top 5 decides to try to jump in front of it and try and lead that group up there. Is now Schaefer pushing a little bit further. He's going to be pushing up toward the 8th spot there, trying to get up to Sirkovich.
Slowly progressing. They've worked their way up. Now the 54 steps back out of line. He realizes that the momentum is there. But no help here from Schaefer. Probably didn't like that the 54 dropped down to the bottom line. And now he will help, and right up on the bumper, surge to 6th position. Caleb Gilbert looking for the lead. Can't stay connected through 3 and 4.
Yeah, they're starting to slowly but surely work their way up there, now battling for that 5th position now as Caleb Gilbert trying to get up to Travis Gilbert up in 1st. Got a few more cars to go, but Schaefer is glued to the back bumper of the 54 now, giving him a really good push down the front straightaway, and they'll be door-to-door with Trevor Keith for the 4th spot as they make their way in the 1 and 2. That outside lane's about to be on the scene, and I wonder if someone like Picklesheimer or Diaz tries to step on up, but they got to get that outside line settled first. Schaefer's around.
Big wreck here. Caution comes down on lap 14 at the halfway point. Kyle Stewart got a little piece of that. Jojoya as well. But it's Christopher Schaefer that gets the worst end of the deal. And the 23 sideways into the outside wall. First caution of the night.
And we were on board when it happened. We'll take another look here. I mean, this was, we got the onboard shot, so we know what Christopher Schaefer saw, but from the sky cam, looks like Rader and McGeorge got out of sorts, and then the 23 just wasn't expecting the 98 to be outside of him.
See if we can look. I know these spotters on iRacing sometimes have a little bit of a delay. We're gonna look out the right-hand window and see if we can even get a glimpse of this. There it is.
That's a really tough break for the 23 because he was well on his way to getting into the mix up front. He was the 2nd car that outside line. He was battling for about 6th when the time of caution came out.
It's on board with Dakota Floyd. That sets up pit stops here. Travis Gilbert's going to lead him down pit road. Venture to say probably just topping off with fuel here.
Have to imagine. Looks like Diaz overshot his box a little bit. That could cost him big time if he was trying to get out ahead of the 22. No, he's going to get out in full. It looks like some tires changed there for the 22. A lot of other folks fuel only potentially. So even though the 26 overshot his box, I still think he was the first guy off pit road.
So Kyle Diaz will be your leader, coming back to the green flag in just a couple laps time. Don't go anywhere though. We still have plenty of racing left to be done. You are watching the Chapman Environmental Cup Series live on V-Speed, presented by OMT. More coverage right after this.
Chapman's been around for 32, almost 33 years. You know, it's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we built a company that will stand the test of time. And My goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
Back here live on V-Speed. Back to the live shot here.
Turns out I can't count. That's something we learned at the commercial break.
Coming out of 2 and down the backstretch. Had a little rush moment there. I thought we were going back green here in just a moment. We will be. Got one more set of corners. We watched car go through the grass there on the backstretch just a moment ago. It was the 23 of Christopher Schaefer, and then everyone swerves to avoid it. But outside of that here tonight, Alex, it's been mighty cordial.
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, especially with how single filed out everything got. Things got really, really civil, although I can't imagine the back half of this duel is going to be the same way. The field's been shifted a little bit, and now there's significantly less time to try to settle in single file. I expect a lot more moves to try to be made on the outside here, with Kyle Diaz and Trevor Keith going to lead them to the green. Neither of these drivers have led a lap yet tonight. Going to be a fun time.
Second time today that iRacing pace car has had to move out of the way. Kyle Diaz, Michael Call, the top 2. Green flag is out. We're back underway in the duels.
Pretty solid launch there for the 26 of Diaz. He took Michael Call with him, although in the 89, not able to clear Trevor Keith down low. And here comes a 3-car tandem there. Keith Picklesheimer and Caleb Gilbert. Travis Gilbert going to try and help up high, and they are going to be neck and neck as they make their way down the back straightaway here.
Plenty of racing going on here on V-Speed. You can catch Moonshiners. You've got Goat Locker. You've got 1001 Things with Spark as well. Racing Revolution in their dual series. This is where you want to be right now. Tuning in here live on V-Speed. 19 laps about to be underway. 18 completed now through the tri-oval, and Trevor Keith will lead this time high.
That inside line, once again, proving to be the dominant one on the restarts here. They lost out for all of about half a lap, but they were so well connected going down the back straightaway, Bradley, that they just checked out from Kyle Diaz. Diaz has fallen back to 7th. Now here comes a big move from Harrison and Sirkovich. Oh, and Richardson's around.
Enough to trigger the caution, and the 8-car down the backstretch just clips the 10. Sends him into the outside wall, and that was Kyle Stewart in the number 10. Thought he was through it, and just at the end of it gets a piece.
Yeah, Richardson got spun, I believe, coming off at 2. We'll take a look here on the replay. The car you want to keep an eye out for is that blue and green number 8, 4th on the outside lane.
There's a check up here on the outside, and that's Diaz leading that. Morgan Cook gets into the back of the 8.
And this is what's confusing me, is when Richardson peels off the wall, just backs it straight down into the 10 of Kyle Diaz. I don't know if he just thought everyone was clear or what, but Diaz, not
Stewart.
Diaz. Stewart was trying to get on by and just got tagged because he tried getting away.
Yeah, we were watching there. Let's go aboard. This is Morgan Cook's on board. We're actually going to get a better shot of that. There's a check up here on the outside. You're talking Diaz. Diaz is actually the check up here on the outside that causes some of this to happen. Cook just sticks his nose there 3 wide. Nowhere to go. And then you go back there further with the 10. He had got caught up in it once already, got in the outside wall, and then gets another lick to the outside wall right after that. There's the initial damage. Probably bad enough, but if you're the 8 right here, you need to hold the brakes and keep that car. I know you're driving inverted. Sometimes it feels like a passenger landing a 747 when you're going backwards at 140 miles per hour.
Yeah, especially after the carnage that just unfolded. You got Kyle Stewart and Brandon Richardson going to peel it down pit road. Chances are not going to be a great starting position for the race next week at Daytona. Again, this duel setting, I believe, the inside lane for that race next week. And those two cars probably going to be finding themselves toward the rear of the field. But the beautiful thing about super speedway racing, you know, if you play your cards right, it does not take a ton of time to work your way from the back to the front. You just got to make the right moves at the right moment. And that person so far tonight, if you ask me, with pit strategy has been Trevor Keith to get himself to the lead. But as far as on-track stuff, I mean, we've seen some good moves tonight from Picklesheimer and from Caleb Gilbert there, second and third. They've done a good job keeping themselves in contention. The eyes, I think, all drift back, though, to the 12 of Travis Gilbert. He's back in 12th. He was in clean air. He was uncatchable. But now he is marred back in traffic, and he's not going to have a whole lot of time to get back up to the front.
Trevor Keith, Picklesheimer, Gilbert, Harrison, Sirkovich for that top 5. Then it goes back to Bennett, Rader, Schaefer, Diaz, Call, and Floyd. Actually, Call there at the end of the top 10. I got to say, though, yeah, you've seen some impressive moves. You've seen some guys get a little bit of aggression out here on the racetrack. Outside of that, it's been pretty calm. I think we haven't seen the end of the aggression, though. We're approaching that 10 lap to go mark. We're actually at that 10 lap to go mark. When we go back green, we're going to have about 8 left. I think if you're 7th, 8th position on back, you're probably willing to take it 3 wide.
Yeah, and not only are you going to have to take it 3 wide, you're going to need some people to help you down the straightaways here from the back of the field to make it 3 wide. If anyone's going to have a chance to make a pass for the lead tonight, I think you're going to see someone have to really stack up the back part of the field and really just kind of roll it up toward the high side and hope you get that momentum to carry.
Momentum is what this car is based off of. Plate racing, definitely the factor. Going to have to draft and work together. So you see them pair up here. Lights are out on the iRacing pace car. 8 laps to go when we cross that line. Heat number 1 in dual race for OMT and Racing Rev, Chapman Environmental Services, Erhardt Holmes. Everybody that's a part of this, to put this on, this will set your grid for the inside row for week 1 at Daytona. So still a lot of plate racing left here on V-Speed. If you're interested, if you're enjoying the coverage, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We have flag-to-flag coverage all season long. As we always do for any league that we pick up, if you're inquiring about our services, you can visit vspeedsim.com as well.
It'll be about 20 miles when they hit the stripe to try and settle this one. And this is just the first of 2 dual races tonight. Another 17 fresh faces going to be ready to go in just a few minutes here when this one concludes. But you know whoever wins this is going to try. And, you know, you're going to be fighting for the win here, not only because, you know, racing's in their blood and they want to go for the win each and every time, but especially the opportunity to start up front at Daytona. An honor too big to pass up. So I have a feeling we're going to see some crazy moves here in the closing laps.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to it. I know that coming out of turn 4, This is where it starts. This is where guys start to make gutsy calls. They start to get a little bit of desperation. Tyler Harrison could put it up here on the top spot for week number 1. Trevor Keith is going to keep him at bay, or try to. Green flag back underway. Track temperature hasn't changed. 78 degrees. That should not be a factor for this last 8 laps.
Dead even going in the 1. Keith down low, Harrison up high. That inside line looks to be a little better stacked, though, with Picklesheimer and Gilbert versus Sirkovich and Diaz up high. Got to imagine Trevor Keith is going to be able to pull away a little bit from Harrison here down the back straightaway. Travis Gilbert tried making that third lane, and nobody went with him, and he's going to fall all the way back to the tail end of the field.
Travis Gilbert, who led the vast majority of laps, now sitting in 18th position. You see 8 laps to go now, 7 when they cross that line. Really sideways there for the 45 rather of Harrison. He falls back to 7th position.
Yeah, things getting really squirrely in that outside row, and Picklesheimer is just glued to the back bumper of Trevor Keith. Harrison's just got nowhere to go on the outside right now, and you got to imagine that second heat is going to be watching this, knowing how valuable that inside lane is going to be if it can get stacked up the way it has so far in this opening one. Because that outside lane has just had nothing all duel long. Everyone inside the top 9 all running that inside lane. But at some point, you're going to have to try and step out and take a chance to win this race tonight. The question's going to be, when does that move come? Will it come from someone like Picklesheimer, Gilbert, Bennett, or someone deeper in the field as Rob Rader's going to pop his nose out from 5th?
And the third line has developed now. Morgan Cook's going to take it 3 wide. He gets over the back bumper. The 89. Michael Call in front, into the wall a little bit here for Cook. Can they get it going here, Alex? This third line, we talked about a lot of turbulence here in the middle.
So that's a gutsy move right there from Dakota Floyd, making it 3 wide. They're going to stay 3x3. Up front, though, Rader has a run toward the leader. They've got a little bit of help up there. He's trying to get a run on Trevor Keith. And with 5 laps to go, it is a side-by-side battle for the lead here in duel number 1.
Trev or Keith. I'm going to write that one down. Side by side for the lead. It's the first time we've seen all day that the outside has prevailed. And Tyler Harrison trying to keep the 53 of Rob Rader. 5 laps to go from Daytona and dual race number 1. One more time. Racing. 22
under the record. And there's a big wreck behind him. Grant Turner into the wall, Kyle Diaz and more. Richardson going through the grass.
And Grant Turner gets the worst end of that. With 5 laps to go, we're approaching green-white checkered territory.
That we are. There's going to be a quick dash to the finish when this thing gets going green again. We'll take a look here, and you'll see exactly what happened to the 39 of Grant Turner, and then some. It was not pretty, that's for sure. So something starts here with the 22 of Travis Gilbert getting a little out of sort, and then it ricochets further. And it might be here with the 10 of Kyle Stewart. They're 3 wide. Oh, contact with Richardson gets both up and down. The initial contact put the 22 in the fence, and then the ricochet got everybody else. Kyle Stewart just got sandwiched. I don't think the 10 and the 8 are going to be writing each other any Christmas cards for the foreseeable future.
Definitely not a Valentine's card coming.
No. That
kind of intimacy, though, Alex, I mean, they might.
You never know. They're getting awfully familiar with each other out here on track, and not in a great way. That's the second time those two have met each other in a collision on track, and we've only had 3 cautions, so they're batting 66% at the moment.
Of course, Grant the Toes Turner goes to the end of the field here. He's going to come down pit road, try to get some of that repaired. We know that this race, not for points. This doesn't really dictate anything other than the starting grid, and with Daytona, it's not a big deal to come back from 30th position and end up having a shot to win this race. I don't think that you completely sign out. If you're having a bad day here, just remember it doesn't really count towards the overall big picture.
And that is the beautiful thing with the exhibition races. It's not going to be a huge detriment if it doesn't go well, but obviously the starting position next week is very much in the balance depending on you do here tonight. So definitely want to make sure you do as well as possible before you get to the 250 miler next week. That's going to be a significantly lengthier one than the 60-some miles that they're running out here in the duel tonight.
Going to take a little bit more discipline, endurance, the ability to pace yourself, and nonetheless, it still comes down to those white flag, checkered flag moments where drivers step out. And yeah, I say there's not much on the line. If you can work your way through the field and get up to the front of this field within the first, I'd say 90% of the race, give yourself a real shot. The flip side of that, and Alex, you know this, there's 30 plus other drivers trying to do the exact same thing. If there's guys outside of that top 10, they're going to be hard to contend with. You're going to be continuously working and battling around that. And I just watched Jeremy Burns. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Jeremy Burns has a fuel can.
Oh, really?
That's a fuel can for a vape.
Oh, for a vape. That was not how I thought you were finishing that sentence.
No.
I thought it was going to be like as a water bottle.
No, I don't know if we'll get in trouble for this or not, so I'm just not going to put it up. But yeah.
Yeah, probably best not to. We'll leave that to the
76
the audience's imagination. Classic.
It's huge. Sorry, it caught me off guard. I'll get back to it.
Well, speaking of getting back to it, next time by, these guys will be getting back to it with the first of 2 potential green-white checkered attempts if they need it. And they'll take the flag. It'll be 2 laps to go. They got to be able to take the white flag for this one to be called official. If the caution comes out before the white flag comes out, they'll re-rack it and try it one more time.
There we go. 3 laps. We'll take that green flag, and like you said, re-racking it. Got to make it to that white flag. That's what's important here. And I know for Trevor Keith, Rob Rader, these guys want this to go all the way to the end. They don't want another opportunity for them to get jumped on a restart, or maybe drivers to get damage behind them and not have the opportunity to get a good push. You're relying on that car glued to your back bumper. And the 4-time champion on the inside, Trevor Keith on the outside. KSX definitely had a playoff berth. Tell Trevor Keith is hungry. And everyone behind this 53 is hungry to dethrone that champion. He's been defending champion every single season.
That he has, and he'll be looking to do it again this year, but it starts with a run tonight. He'll be leading that inside row. The preferred line, it seems to be once you get a couple laps under our belt, but that's all they're going to have. The green flag's back in the air, and a great launch for the 53 and the 35 as they roar into turn 1.
35 on the back bumper. Picklesheimer about 2 car lengths ahead of that inside line. Do they step up to the outside? I'd be interested to see if they do decide to do that, and once they get to that white flag, that might be the move.
Dylan Picklesheimer has run second or third just about every lap of this duel. He's been such a good pusher so far today, but does he try to find a more opportunity to step out and make his move? As Trevor Keith with a great run down the backstretch with help from Harrison and Sirkovich. Does he have something to drop down in front of the Raider machine?
I think he does. That's a big run here on the outside. First time we've seen it tonight, and it's clear. 3 wide now for the 5th position. Morgan Cook drops down in front of Rob Rader. White flag one more time around for dual race number 1. Cook to the inside, has the 53, giving a push.
He's got a great run through 1 and 2. He'll be door to door with Trevor Keith as they make their way off of 2. Oh, big slide for the 51, able to save it, but cost him momentum.
And there's Morgan Cook trying to get around one more time, but he loses the momentum. Still has the 53 glued to the bumper. The side draft going to be a factor here coming out of turn 4. Still trying to hold on. A big pinch there. That was Tyler Harrison dropping down on the door and coming by to the line. It's Trevor Keith with the victory in dual race 1.
An expert job there from the 15 to make that outside lane work when he needed it the most, and a phenomenal push from the 45 of Tyler Harrison to make that a possibility.
And they just moved her right along here. And they're going to take it
Yeah,
to
didn't
grid.
even wait for them to hit turn 1, and we
No.
are already jumping into heat number 2.
Well, there you go. Trevor Keith gets the victory. Graphic up on the screen. We didn't even get a chance for final results there, and we just we went straight to it. So I guess for me personally, I need to go through this grid one more time. Let's go ahead and bring that up on the screen. Nick Alves will start on the top spot here for dual race number 2. Trevor Erhardt will start to his outside. It's Carter Lenz and Matt Robinson for row number 2. Jeremy Burns and Michael Reed, 5th and 6th position. Justice Murphy and Kevin Orlando Jr., 7th and 8th position. Devin Hudgens and Christopher Berger will round out your top 10.
And the rest of the second dual field, 3rd place last week in the Clash, Justin Ritchie rolls off 11th, Chris Nail in 12th, Alex Forget rolls off in 13th with Parker Johnston in the 14th position, James Loveland in the 02 rolls off 15th alongside Sam Taylor, and Grant Thorpe rounds out the 17-car second duel.
Well, we didn't get the final results, but I want to say Trevor Keith getting that victory. I believe it was Rob Rader just behind Morgan Cook. They fell back to 4th position across that line. Set up for duel number 2, just like that. Commercial break? No, we're going right into it.
One other notable thing that came out of that opening duel, Bradley, pole sitter for that duel, Travis Gilbert, will finish 18th, which means he will be stuck at the tail end of the field for the 250-miler next week.
It's going to be a tall climb, but I know that Gilbert can do it. 22 machine proved that he can lead this race. Nick Alves is going to try to prove that he can maintain the lead of this for duel number 2. I think Alves probably one of the fan favorites, but I got to ask again here in heat number 2, who's your pick to win?
You know, with the amount of times he won last year, it's always hard to bet against a guy like Jeremy Burns. But I think I'm going to try and be a bit more creative with this pick. And I tell you what, someone who's had some good acumen on the super speedways last season was that 84 of Devin Hudgens. I think he could have a good run here tonight. Same with that 66 machine of Carter Lenz. I think either one of them could be ones to watch here in duel number 2.
So you're going with the 66 and the 84. I'm going to stick true with Jeremy Burns and probably Trevor Erhardt. I think the 41's got something for him. But here we go for dual race number 2. Green flag is out. We are underway. Daytona again down the front stretch. Erhardt Holmes on the outside. I'd like to apologize there to Erhardt Holmes. We didn't get the white flag in there. We'll make sure to do that for this dual race, especially since the guy that sponsors it is up towards the front and that gold-plated American flag-themed machine will lead lap number 1.
Yeah, Trevor Erhardt did a great job using that momentum from that high side to drop down in front of Alves. He took Robinson with him. So now Erhardt and Robinson run 1-2 down on the inside lane. Alves is tied side by side with Michael Reed right now for that 3rd position. As you see Robinson giving a big shove down the back straightaway to Erhardt, all over the back bumper as they go into 3.
And actually giving that bump and also breathing the car at the same time. How to move to the outside, but he gets loose here.
Oh, big check out.
Big check out. 4 wide. 11 down on the bottom. They stay green.
Well, that is going to be devastating, though, to Matt Robinson. He has lost the draft, and his race is effectively going to be over unless there is a caution to bunch this thing back up. And he's actually going to peel it down pit road.
Maybe a technical issue there for the 11 machine of Matt Robinson. You know, we talk about mechanical failures in real life, but you can have mechanical failures in the simulator as well. I've seen some TikToks coming out here recently of motion rigs, you know, collapsing on themselves, hitting the floor. I've also seen wheels oscillate and disconnect. We chalk it up to, you know, things beyond your control. A tire going down, the connection loss, you know, similar to an engine expiring, especially outside of just super speedway racing where you can expire an engine from overheating.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something you got to be mindful of, and you know, you can never fully avoid it. Sometimes the gremlins just get you whether you like it or not. So it appears Robinson has gotten back on track, but he is nearly a full lap down. And with no draft help, he is just going to get swallowed up by the field here next time by. There's Michael Reed right now pacing the field. That incident there with Robinson dropped Erhardt way back. He's down to 6th now. So Reed, Orlando Jr., and Hudgens right now are your top 3. And they've got a little bit of separation from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I wouldn't count out Trevor Erhardt just yet, though. It's 6th position. It could have been a lot worse. You know, you lose that car on the back end. He's able to settle out. I think the whole field kind of went evasive maneuver there. That allowed Erhardt to get back in line. Outside, gets going. It's Parker Johnston. Chris Nail here on the outside. Another car moves up. That looks like Hudgens in the number 38. Going for the lead.
Here goes Devin Hudgens around the high side, trying to pull on Michael Reed. There's the onboard of the 84. Got the VR set up and all. Daytona and VR has got to be such a cool feeling, I bet. As now he drops down to that front row. He'll take that lead away from Michael Reed and drops down, leaving Chris Nail to fend for himself on the high side, battling against Kevin Orlando.
Now Reed
caution's out.
Push. It's Carter Lenz around. Lenz into 1 and 2, gets sideways. It's enough to trigger the yellow. I'm not sure what caused this. It's a connection issue. James Loveland in the background here. I'm not sure what caused this here.
Guess we can take another look here. This is where most of the cars on track are as they dive into turn 1. Oh, yeah, Lynn's got all sorts of spun around and then had some crazy connectivity issues.
Watch it one more time here. Trying to get back on his car. With the connection issue, it's a little difficult to get. There we go. Yeah, he reappears inside of the 1 car of Sam Taylor, and not Taylor's fault. Let's go on board with Taylor.
He's not even there.
Yeah, he's completely gone, and he's going to reappear here in the entry 1.
Oh my goodness, yeah, nothing you can do about that if you're Sam Taylor. I mean, there's no way you can just anticipate the car returning like that when it was gone for such a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good 5-6 seconds. There was just no car on track there.
Yeah, that's another one of those factors that we talked about with mechanical failures, and we talked about connection issues. There's so many things that, even though we're in that simulation style racing, maybe not real life as, you would probably project the safety and dangers of stock car racing, you still have the reliability of your ISP to make sure you stay connected to the session. You have people around you as well that you have to rely on to make sure they maintain that connectivity. And overall, everyone's equipment has to function all the way through this race. Sometimes if you're the one, you got a prime example of everyone around you has to be perfect.
Yeah, and in that case, that connectivity was not, and that is what brought out the caution. And it'll be Devin Hudgens who gets out in front here off the pit cycle. We're going to step away real quick. More coverage of the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series coming at you right after this.
Chapman's been around for 32, almost 33 years. It's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we've built a company that will stand the test of time. And my goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
Back here live at Daytona Dual Race number 2, and we are 10 laps into this event. Green flag is out. We're back underway. And Hudgens in the Huggies machine with a great start. Kevin Orlando to push him into turn 1.
Outside lane got such a good jump that it's actually Michael Reed who jumps to the high side here to fill the hole. The top 4 cars all running up against the fence. Looks very different from that opening duel, Bradley. Everyone gravitating to the wall instead of the apron this time.
I mean, it's where I would want to be in this car. And we've seen the side draft pull guys back. Just last night there, we watched a driver that had front end damage pull with the side draft. And it was just enough by 5/1000ths of a second to get that victory. I want to be on this high line. You can see some guys still trying to decide where they want to be. But you just seen the 11 of Matt Robinson drop down. I don't think it's going to be enough. Even if these guys get connected, which they will, Nick Alice is probably not going to be able to push that 11 up there.
Here we go, coming off the corner now. That inside group starting to get a little bit more together as they make their way off of turn 2. Robinson and Alves going to try and carry this momentum toward the front. Robinson, I tell you what, that was a very timely caution for him to get him back on the lead lap. And he's taking full advantage of it here, leading the inside lane. The outside lane starting to snake a little bit behind the 84, running all the way up to the fence. Now Orlando going to dive down a big block from the 84. Going to try and keep the 27 behind him. Hudgens went coast to coast to keep the 27 at bay.
Gonna look at that from the V-Speed Instant Replay. They actually shoved the 84 out ahead by about a car length, and 27 said, I'm gonna go down here. It didn't work.
He got down there at the right time because Orlando took a big bump from behind, and that momentum went directly into the 84, which kept him out front.
Another block
now,
on the outside.
Yeah, he is really active right now on the lanes. Another block, this time on Michael Reed. The 84 putting up a wall right now for that lead spot. He's taking on all challengers, and Michael Reed shoving him down the front stretch here. You can see just how out of sorts he was, the amount of momentum Reed was given to the back bumper.
Well, holding on to it, though, you can see the hands moving back and forth. That is the turbulence from the air, the splitter, car pushing him. 91 on the back bumper into 1 and 2. Keep it down the back stretch. Looking to the outside, 41.
Yeah, another big push there from the outside lane, trying to get back up there. Michael Reed hammering away at the right rear of Devin Hudgens right now. Those two have got to be careful depending on where that push hits at what time. Could get them both out of sorts. You see Trevor Erhardt trying to reel in the leaders again. They got a great run off of 4. They're going to leapfrog a couple of cars on the outside here. And they're going to keep shoving their way forward. As now Erhardt has gotten up into the top 5 once again.
Side by side, right around the 5th position. 41 inching his way closer and closer. And bottom line falls apart a little bit here. That's good news.
Yeah, that could really spice things up for the high side, but instead they're just going to dive down. They're going to fill the gap and leave the remaining couple cars up high completely out to dry. And now everything getting settled in here on the inside. Erhardt and Justice Murphy both dropped down. So Hudgens still leads over Michael Reed and Chris Nail, but now it is James Loveland in the 02 trying to lead that high side. He is a long ways back right now with only a couple of cars of help behind him.
Loveland getting the shove, going to get up to 3rd position, and now that we're at that halfway mark, I think it's time. Let's find those volume knobs here on V-Speed. Staying clean and green. Let's get loud. Get loud here on V Speed. Go ahead and turn that volume knob back down. Alex Gagnon up here in the booth with me. This is Bradley Cooper telling you we're having a great race so far. 18 laps in to duel number 2. OMT putting this on, sponsoring here tonight. One more time. Kevin Hudgens, your leader, Christopher Berger. James Loveland on that top 3. 27, Orlando giving a push.
That was a big shove there. Gets Loveland door to door with the 84 of Hudgens for the race lead right now as they make their way through 3 and 4. It's Hudgens, Berger, and Reed on the inside. Loveland, Orlando, and Taylor up on the high side. Good to see the one rallying back here after that earlier incident with the 66 to Limbs. That was beyond his control. He has got some good pace right now, running up inside that 4th spot. And if anyone is joining us a bit late, Berger's around.
Berger into the outside wall and
big
damage.
Contact. Made contact with Justin Ritchie as well. Well, I was just about to say, for anyone joining us late, that Trevor Keith won the first stage, and we've had a pretty clean run here in heat number 2. That suddenly changed on a dime there for Christopher Berger. We'll jump on board here with Justin Ritchie. He gets a piece of this here at the tail end as well.
There's the contact that sends the 36 around. Nowhere to go for Justin Ritchie. Berger just comes across the nose. I want to see exactly where this starts for Berger. 91 on the back end.
And they weren't lined up super well, the 84, the 36, and the 90, I believe the 91, and just didn't quite settle in the way they were hoping. Berger got shuffled out of line, and contact was made at the worst part of the car at the worst time on track. The last place you want to get hit is in that corner in the middle of one of those turns. The car gets incredibly off balance, and it's super easy to have what just happened there happen. And before you know it, the 36 is pointed up at the fence and then pointed the wrong direction as the rest of the field goes rushing on by.
Berger goes back to the tail end of this field. James Loveland is now on the top spot, one of V Speed's very own. Shout out to James. And you know, we gotta talk about it here. We had our race for 8. One of the proud supporters, James Loveland, out here on the racetrack. Why don't you locate James Loveland? Let's dial him up here in Scotland.
Sure, let me pull him in.
James Loveland, Bradley Cooper, and Alex Gagnon in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
You're very, very quiet here. I'm going to crank you up. Try it again.
Yeah, I got you guys.
Yep. I can hear him.
Is that better? Is that better?
Yeah, there we go. Hey, that's
Okay.
1,000 times better. James, right now, I mean, it doesn't mean much here at Daytona. We know that, but you're up at the front. Got Kevin Orlando pushing you on the outside. What line? It seems like the outside isn't as fast as it usually is.
Yeah, it kind of depends on how many cars you got back in with you. I mean, towards that run before the caution, Kevin was pushing me, and I think we had a good line forming, and the top was actually better, but I don't know. I got to see how it goes these last handful of laps, but as for right now, I'll probably stay on the bottom until I make that decision towards the end.
My draft is a factor here, and you got Kevin Orlando. I don't know exactly what partnerships you guys work with, teammate-wise. Who are you looking for to get on that back bumper?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm kind of on my own right now, but Kevin's been pushing really good, so hopefully he could stick with me on the bottom and we can get going here.
Well, James, outside of possible, teammates and relationships, all that out the door for this dual race, anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, just shout out to you guys at V Speed, man. Great broadcast, and yeah, let's go out and try to win a duel and get front row for the or second row. I don't know what it is for Daytona race.
James Loveland will be restarting here on the top spot. The lights go out on the pace car. Good luck, man.
Thank you.
Alex, there you go. That's he's out here by himself. I don't know if I'd want to be out here by myself. Maybe at another track, Auto Club, Atlanta. Well, not the new Atlanta, but probably somewhere at 1.5 miles, Texas, Charlotte, anywhere else but here.
Yeah, just about any non-restrictor plate track, that is a perfectly fine situation to find yourself in. When you come to a place like this, though, it certainly helps to have a couple of friends. And, it sounds like he's hoping that the 27 might be that for him, but it doesn't sound like he has a ton of faith in that holding up here over the next couple laps if one of them gets a run. So he'll be on the inside here. It looks like Alex Forget took the outside front row on the choose cone. So the 19 going to move up to that front spot. Orlando Jr. and Devin Hudgens, that second row. 3 of those 4 cars we've been talking about a lot tonight, Bradley, up toward the front. The 19, I think a bit of a wild card here. Has worked his way up through the field.
Yep.
Started 13th. He's up to now 2nd. Curious to see what he does up at the front.
And Forget got wins last season. A couple races that I actually covered. He did a phenomenal job with some podiums, some wins, and we count him out as well. This is more for bragging rights than anything. And you go back to a season ago there. It's season 4, I think, for the Chapman Environmental Series. Forget has improved tremendously. There's a lot of drivers in this series that, maybe made their debut on iRacing that have improved tremendously compared to what they were when they started.
Absolutely. That is for sure the case of a lot of the folks in the field. Pace car going to peel off, and the green flag is back in the air here in the OMT Duels number 2.
There'll be 9 laps left, now 8 when they cross that stripe. The 19 of Forget drops down behind. And a little surprising here, Loveland was maybe relying on the 27 of Orlando. But these 2 drivers with Forget and Orlando familiar with racing with each other, do they poke to the outside on this white flag?
I mean, I think you've got to imagine they've got something cooking here. As Forget giving the 0-2 a push down the back straightaway. One car that has been surprisingly quiet tonight has been the double-digit win leader from last season, Jeremy Burns. Currently marred back in the 12th position and just doesn't seem... Oh, whoa! Michael Reed sideways, and he's coming back up the track. Big wreck on the front straightaway.
And an avoidance there for the 9. But Parker Johnston and the 48 destroyed.
Yeah, the hood fully came off of the car, the 48. He's going to get towed back to pit lane. Everything falling apart here for the middle of the field. Starts with Michael Reed getting out of sorts and ending up in the infield grass. Him and Chris Nail got together on the front straightaway. Got the 91, spun around into the grass, comes back up the track, and that's the most terrifying feeling as a driver when you see a car out of control through the middle of the tri-oval, because you know they're going to end up back on track whether they like it or not. You see, there's the contact with Nail, then just slides back up because there's nowhere else for him to spin to.
Well, you saw the 27 Orlando move up to that outside there, Alex, and I think this was more of an evasive maneuver right on board with Reed, but I think he saw that move and thought, I have the momentum, I'll go down here, and just didn't work out.
Yeah, that was a case where if he had made that move maybe a second earlier, I think he still would have been clear of Chris Nail. The 88 was coming in with a head of steam, and ultimately it did not work out for Michael Reed.
This is on board with Jeremy Burns. Watch how close this gets.
A little bit of wall scrape, a little bit of contact with Grant Thorpe. certainly far from the worst of it. The worst of it, either Reed or Parker Johnston. Parker Johnston got an absolute devastating blow to the front of his car. The hood fully popped up when contact was made with Michael Reed.
Loveland maintains the lead here for Jet Berube. Second position, Kevin Orlando Jr. Hudgens nailed the top 5. We're going to cycle him back out. We're approaching that green-white checker territory, but I don't think we're going to use it just yet. Still racing left to do here for dual race number 2. Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series, presented by One More Time. Full coverage right after this.
Chapman's been around for 32, almost 33 years. It's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we've built a company that will stand the test of time. And my goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
Back here live for duel number 2, and it has Loveland and Orlando on the front row. Green flag is out. We're back underway. This is about to get really interesting. If you're a fan of James Loveland, He's got to hold on here for the next 3 laps.
Well, if you're a fan for any of these guys in the top 5 all the way back to Hudgens, this is the prime opportunity to make something happen for Jet and Loveland. A great launch to get out to the front here in 1 and 2. Going down the back straightaway. Here comes Orlando. A bit of a run. Jet's going to jump ship, and he's going to go high to try and lead that outside lane.
And Loveland completely left out to dry, but now gets connected with the 12. Still on that inside line. Alex Forget Berube will take the lead. 2 laps to go.
Forget trying to hold off Kevin Orlando Jr. Orlando trying to dig around both high and low, seeing what's available, trying to pry the lead away from Alex Forget. The 19 machine started in 13th tonight. He's leading his first couple laps of the race, and he has got Orlando and Hudgens on his back bumper as they make their way down the backstretch for the penultimate time.
Sideways.
Oh, big wreck. Carter Lynn sideways. Oh, he saved it. Wow, did he save that. Unbelievable. Take a quick look at that before we take the white flag. You can see just how out of sorts he got. Phased through Trevor Erhardt and somehow kept it moving forwards.
Well, here we go. White flag in the air, presented by Erhardt Homes. Love where you live. Side by side for the lead into 1 and 2. The 19 of Berube on the outside. Inside line for the 27 of Orlando. 12 pushing. Justice Murphy trying to get that number 19 back to the lead. 27 has help down low with the 84 of Hudgens, and the 02 of Orlando, who took this restart, or Loveland, who took this restart, is falling back down to 7th. One more time around Daytona into 3 and 4. A block. Too late here. Sideways. And who's going to come out with it?
Almost lost it. Big wreck. Oh, who's it going to be?
It's going to be Kevin Orlando with the win, gifted here out of turn 4. He gets dual race number 2, qualifying on the front row for Daytona.
Wow. Kevin Orlando Jr. is going to steal that one at the line. We'll have to take a look at that last half a lap again on the replay. Boy, was that something crazy. It seemed like they had it all sorted out, and then they didn't.
It's down the back stretch here, and it looks like they threw me into a warm-up. So I don't know why that happened.
Well, I guess we're
again.
not. Oh, here we go. We'll
There we
see
go.
this replay here.
There's
So
a block
Murphy
in this
goes
lane.
low. Yeah, lock didn't work. It kicked out the 19. And then contact there with, I believe, Robinson and Justice Murphy as he goes careening into the infield wall. Opened up the door again for the 27 to go out there and take the win. One more look at it here. And everything just parted the right way at the right time. Forget will hold on to second, and Devin Hudgens will round out that second heat podium.
Kevin Orlando on the front row next to Trevor Keith for Daytona. These dual races, I tell you, it's on a contrast to what we saw there last week in the Clash. These guys were very calm. Yeah, we had some cautions, but everything was pretty mild comparatively. I think right now, we probably should pull up some of these drivers. We have Trevor Keith. We probably should pull up Trevor Keith. We need to get a word with him, and then we need to talk to Kevin Orlando.
Yeah, let's see if we can pull Keith real quick. And we'll pull him in.
Trevor Keith, it's Bradley Cooper and Alex Gagnon up in the
Yes,
broadcast
sir.
booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Well,
Sorry, I forgot my camera today. Sorry.
it's all right. It's all right. We just had to get a quick word with you here. You guys burning it down here on the front stretch. I don't know if you're in this warm up or not, if you're still in the session, but you got the victory, and dual race number 1, the action was pretty much the same in the second dual race. How do you feel, though, starting on that top spot for Daytona?
Feels good starting row 2. All teammates, Jacob and Tyler, 1, 2, 3. Statement made for lightning fast there. We're all working together. We all get to start right next to each other to begin this race. So I can't think anything better than that. Just Tyler's new to the team. Me and Jacob worked last year. Tyler's new to the team, and we're already working together well enough to finish 1, 2, 3 in one of the duels. I think that speaks volumes for how well this team's going to run this year.
I think it speaks volumes for your talent level as well here at these super speedways. You were able to overcome a lot going around. Different drivers throughout the night got to lead that race, but you kind of ran quietly up in that top 5 the whole time, just waiting on the opportunity.
Oh, yeah. Just staying patient back there. Just try to see if we were going to be able to make a green flag stop or not. Wait it out. We got the caution, though, so didn't have to. But and then just trying to link up with the teammates. I think we got pretty lucky on a choose where I think it was Picklesheimer chose with Rob, and so it allowed the 2 teammates to get behind me, and that it was over from there. We kind of knew it. As long as we didn't wreck each other, we were fine.
Trevor, is there anybody that comes to mind here before we let you go you want to shout out to or thank?
Yeah, we're going to take Chapman Environmental Services. Obviously, they and all about bugs, Erhardt Homes. I forgot the new one's name. I got to get on that. Got to get better at that. The new sponsor, I don't remember who they were exactly. Ingenuity. There it is. I apologize if Ingenuity guys are watching. I'll get that right next time, I promise.
Coastal Financial as well.
Coastal Financial as well. We'll shout out KSX Racing Graphics. We got a bunch of KSX games out there this year. It's lovely to see. We'll shout out V-Speed. You guys do a great job. I'm glad you guys are back this year. And we'll shout out Morgan Cook, too, for helping me out with this wheel and stuff.
I don't know why you shouted that guy out. I mean...
Yeah. It's in the contract. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we appreciate your time, though. And Trevor, good victory out there. Hope to see that luck and talent, all those things come back together here when we go racing for week number 1.
Absolute fantastic momentum builder for week 1. Can't wait.
Trevor Keith, winner in dual race number 1. And that'll move us on to our next winner in dual race number 2. It's going to be Kevin Orlando in the number 27. We're going to bring him in.
Yep, we're going to pull him in real quick.
Hey, Joe, you gridding up for this 5-lap mayhem?
No, we're actually going to bring you into the broadcast booth.
Oh, hey.
How you doing, Kevin?
I am doing okay.
You're doing okay? Well, I think you'd be doing better than okay. 5-lap mayhem. I know that we're getting ready to grid here, but we didn't agree to that contract, so we're going to ask you how did it feel here in the dual race?
Stressful, that's for sure. But it was great. Great opportunity to work with the team and get ready for the season ahead, especially next week at Daytona again for the big race. I got to give that was great help from Devin Hudgens there, the last laps there.
Well, you had a lot of pushing. You had a lot going on the racetrack. I see you gridding here inside and outside for 5 laps. I don't expect us. I'll probably be here for it, but I don't expect us to carry through with the coverage. Outside of that, though,
no,
Kevin,
this is just we're here. We're having fun.
Yeah, why not? You know what? Just go ahead and hook it left in turn 1. That's probably what I would do.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that one? My spotter decided to yell in my ear.
Oh yeah, Trevor Keith to your inside, not clear.
When?
Ever. Just go ahead and take him to the apron.
All right, sounds good to me.
All right, Kevin. Well, we had fun. I hope you had fun as well. Got the victory in heat race and dual race number 2. Anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, maybe I can get a victory in a points-paying race this year. That would be nice.
That would be excellent. That's what you want to do. Shout out to that. I will absolutely have a Coors Light to that.
Yeah, that's my main goal for this year. It ain't points. It ain't consistency, although consistency is always good. I just want one win that gives me points. Just something that counts.
Well, outside, Kevin, we've got plenty of racing here. We're going to go all season long, all the way to October. Appreciate your time, Kevin, and hopefully we see you up front during that 500.
I hope so. It should be a good one regardless. Thank you very much.
Kevin Orlando Jr., the number 27, getting dual race number 2. Well, you know what? I think we just call it there. I know they have this little five lap fun run, and you know what? You want to spectate that session, Racing Revolution, Chapman Environmental Series. Fantastic league, putting on fantastic shows. Catch us in 1 week's time, though, when we go back live. It's going to be right here at Daytona. That will be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on V-Speed. Alex Gagnon, Bradley Cooper will be in the booth for flag-to-flag coverage presented by Chapman Environmental Services. For everybody here at V-Speed that helped put this on, Alex, thank you for being in the booth with me, putting up with me every single week. Adam Baker that, does all the graphics, makes these things look good. Got a lot of creativity. We got a lot of shows, and a lot has happened and changed over the course of 4 years. We're looking forward to another great season for season number 5. Till then, so long. Stay tracking.